met a Dr. Henri Coanda. Now, Dr. Coanda is known as the father of fluid dynamics. He had over 500 patents on the way fluids flow around objects. He had flying saucers, literally things that levitate by using air flowing over a surface, but with no moving parts.
So these two guys from a Pentagon think tank think they may have worked out the fountain of youth, where it is, what it is, and how it works. When you look into the science behind it, you can see that this is most definitely something.
He built the world's first snowmaking machine that turns liquid water into ice by passing it through a special nozzle that he developed. And so he was 80 when I met him. 17, we were working at a Pentagon think tank. He had a birthday party. And a few days later, he called me into his office, and he said, "Patrick, I want to share something with you that I've worked on all my life for 60 years. I will not complete this project in my lifetime, but I feel that you will, so I'm going to give you my lifelong project, which has to do with finding the fountain of youth." Because he said there really is a fountain of youth. He said water is the most important nutrient that we put into our bodies, and it's the most ignored. And he said that water all over the world is different. Best water in the entire world was found in a place called Hunza, up north of Pakistan. And he said that the properties of Hunza water, which had what he called anomalous properties, were such that if I could build a machine to duplicate those properties, profoundly affect the entire world. And so he gave me his research, and I began my lifelong quest for Hunza water, for the properties of it. And so I began researching water, and I tested every kind of energy field that you can imagine, trying to change ordinary water into Hunza water. And finally, after almost 30 years, discovered the real secret of Hunza water was a special mineral found in the water, a special kind of colloidal mineral, which gives it all of these anomalous properties. Finally duplicated it after a period of a few years, and came up with a product called crystal energy, which was the very first development in this field. And from that developed a dry powder mineral called microcluster powder. And this is all nanotechnology. These minerals are very, very small. They're perfectly spherical. They're about 5 nanometers in diameter. Very unusual properties. One of these properties is they can coat nutrients and protect the nutrients from oxidative damage. They can help carry nutrients into the body so that the body can absorb more of those nutrients. I was reading some work by Albert St. Georgi, a Nobel Prize winner in chemistry for metabolism for metabolic research, who he also discovered vitamin C. That's also his claim to fame. All the food we eat ultimately breaks down into hydrogen, which is burned by oxygen, creating energy that powers our body. And the end result of that long biochemical process is the production of water and the release of energy, which runs our bodies. And the second thing that he said is that no electron moves in the body unless it's coupled to hydrogen. In college chemistry textbooks, it shows electrons somehow mysteriously entering into a chain of chemical reactions in the body without explaining where the electrons come from or how they're transported. When St. Georgi said that electrons cannot be transported without hydrogen, I became very excited. And the other thing that he said is that all living systems store hydrogen in their tissues in such a way that it doesn't require enzyme action to release the hydrogen. The other thing is that he gave a chemical reaction that was done in the early 1920s and published in medical journals for measuring hydrogen in biological tissues. And when I looked at the chemical reaction, I realized that there was only one form of hydrogen that would react that way as an indicator, and that was H-, or negatively ionized hydrogen. That's hydrogen with an extra electron. I then developed a number of instruments for measuring hydrogen, something called photon detachment. I used the chemical test that Albert St. Georgi used, and also redox meter, similar to what you've seen so far, that meter that Dr. Higgins has shown you. And eventually found that all living fluids of every living organism, every fluid from any living organism is loaded with negatively ionized hydrogen. For example, if you take an organic orange, that's fresh off the tree, and you measure the hydrogen, it has a tremendous amount of negative ionized hydrogen. But if you let the orange sit around in your kitchen for a week or so and measure it again, it's lost a lot of its hydrogen. And also when we cook food, all the hydrogen is gone completely. It disappears. Realized that there was something, a missing ingredient no one had ever talked about in food, which is H- negatively ionized hydrogen. And the strange thing is that I had a sample of Hunza water that was nearly 40 years old that I'd been researching all those years. And I went back to my sealed bottle and measured the water from Hunzaland for H-, and it was loaded with H-. So not only did it have these special minerals, but it also had negatively ionized hydrogen.